All right, hey, we are here with Rob and my buddy here in Provo. Rob called me yesterday because he is, what's going on, Rob?
I got my hands on a buddy pass, and since I have some time on my hands, I decided 2 days ago to go to Peru.
2 days ago to go to Peru.
Leaving tomorrow.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how I roll.
Okay, and you called me because?
So Scott knows, obviously, a lot about photography, and I don't know pretty much anything. So, and being in a place like Peru for that long, I just figure I might as well see if I could capture some of those memories and maybe learn a little bit about photography.
Sweet. Well, you got your hand on a camera there.
Yeah, Scott was nice enough to give me
it's fine. Okay, yeah. So what happened is he's like, well, do you have a camera? And I was like, well, actually, I do. I have three. One of them, I've always had a backup camera, right? And so this is a camera I bought in 2006, and I sold one of my old ones. So this is a D200, and I had two D70s at that time. I was just getting into it in 2005 is when I bought the first camera. And so I sold one of my old D70s, and so I had this and I just kept on upgrading, and so eventually this became my backup. And then years later, you know, like this actually became my third camera, but by that time it was so old and used, and the going rate for it was so low, I was like, I'm not going to sell it. It's like I could only get $300-400 out of it. Most likely I'll be able to use it someday somewhere down the road, and it's not, you know, well, might as well.
Or lend it to someone.
Or lend it to someone. So that's what's happening today. Yay, finally have a use for it. And then we were driving around and
since I'm leaving tomorrow, time is a little important.
yeah.
Just kind of asking a little bit about what to look for in taking pictures, how I would take certain pictures in dark.
It's not your camera. It's not your phone where you just hit the little button.
Yeah, I can't just click on the little box to have it focus.
And don't you have a digital camera? I mean, everyone has a digital camera.
Yeah, I have a point and shoot, but I mean, we all know it doesn't quite do the job.
Is it? Well, some of them do a really good job.
I just wanted to look cool while I was hiking along the Inca Trail.
Yeah. Well, there is a certain look to these pictures that you're not going to get out of point and shoots.
For sure.
So it's kind of trial by fire then, huh?
Yeah. So
you're going to be using it like tomorrow.
Probably tonight.
Tight. And have you used them before?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
So let's learn you a little.
Let's learn you. All right, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to put this on the tripod. And so this for everyone may be interesting, because then they'll have a little video to go if you're just getting into photography, huh? And so let's put this in here. It's in the tripod. And let's talk about what's important. First of all, I had you, I said, well, I don't really have batteries for it. They're the same batteries as what one of my other cameras uses, but I've got to have a battery for that one. And so I told you to go online. You went online and found a battery, right?
Yeah, found a battery and a charger. Actually got two batteries.
Two batteries?
For about $40 on
Two
Amazon
batteries
Prime.
and a charger?
Yeah.
For $40.
Yesterday, Amazon Prime, got here today.
Wow, okay. My batteries cost like $80 a piece.
Yeah, well, these are pretty.
Those probably, okay, so the thing about these, I'm guessing, is they may not last as long. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And they may not, like, last as long as far as, like, how many months or how many recharges before they just crap out on you. So if one of them craps out on you on the trip...
Good thing I have another one.
Yeah, because you have another one. And the biggest thing is you're going on the Inca Trail. So that's like, how many days are you going to be on there?
5 days.
Ooh.
5 days, 4
You
nights.
may have wanted to buy more than two batteries.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Oh
well. That's how it goes. So you're going to have to conserve the batteries. I can't remember how many it does on one charge, but I'm guessing it's around 500-600. Just don't review your pictures too much.
There we go.
And I'll show you how to turn off the review.
Okay.
So get good at taking pictures before you go on the Inca Trail, so that you don't have to review them quite as much. So here's the battery. I guess that's the first thing. I mean, you've never even used it.
No, I don't even know how to put it.
So the little lever here, just put it in. Things to know about batteries. They're going to last less when it's cold. So here in Utah, it's like freezing. They wouldn't last as much. You're going to be in Peru.
65 degrees.
60, yeah, they're going to be all right. So when these cameras get a little older, these latches don't work quite as well, but this one seems to still be in decent condition. But you may come into it where, you know, it opens up, don't want to lose the battery. You could even just put like gaffer tape on there. So in RAW mode, which is a style of how it records the files, with this memory card, and there appears to be a memory card in here. Okay, and you were looking at how to open this up.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's this little lever right here, and it's different on
okay.
new cameras. And then you hit this button right here. There is a 32 in it already. I was looking for that. Let's see what's on it. Okay, so you put it in there, and one of the things you want to remember is just to be careful when you put it in. It's got slides in here. Put them in the right direction. If you put it in the wrong, it won't really fit too well. Don't force it. And yeah, and when the green thing is going, don't take out the card and don't take out the battery when that green light, but that's not a huge deal. So it says we can take 1,800 pictures, but that usually is low estimation, so you should be able to take more than 1,800, and that's in RAW. So you can hit this quality button and move it to JPEG fine, and now you're at 5,000 pictures that you can take.
Okay.
So that should last you, one card should last you the whole time. And then you want to hit play, and we can see if there's anything else on this. Folder contains no images. Let's just double check, and I'm going to format it. And you won't really need to know how to format cards, because you probably shouldn't have to format it, and that just makes sure there's nothing in there. So there was something on there. Now you can take 5,200 pictures. So just every once in a while, make sure you're still on fine, that you haven't bumped the quality and moved it back to like normal or basic would be horrible, because then you wouldn't have the best quality of picture.
Okay.
And this is an old 8 megapixel camera, so you do want it to be pretty good quality, you know. Alright, so you know, this is the button you take pictures with, but it's also the button you focus with.
Okay.
But you don't really have to worry about that, because these lenses don't focus.
Okay.
Well, this lens was made to focus, but it was my very first kit lens, and it no longer focuses.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you another lens that I don't use a lot, and I just got, and it's a manual focus lens, so it's not even broken. It's just it was never made to focus in the first place. So you're going to have to learn to trust your eyes. Do you have good eyesight?
Yes.
Okay.
With contacts.
All right. So to change lenses, which you'll probably be doing, this has a range from 18 to 70. And frankly, this is probably going to have a little better quality, and so, I don't know, you may actually, as someone that's starting off, be more comfortable with the 18, this, you know, so you don't have to, the other way to zoom in is just to walk closer or farther away, but you can zoom in and out with this. So, there's some buttons for how to focus, but you're just going to be using this ring right here. And on this lens, the only ring is the one that focuses, because there is no zoom in, zoom out. So, and then, yeah, that's going to be a lot of like learning how to do it. There is a little circle in there when you hit that ring, on the very far left-hand side. When you do the focus one, it's the one a little bit farther back, and that will kind of assist you if there's a little circle there wherever that box is. That will tell you if it's in focus. And it should work with this lens as well. So it'll help you to give you an idea whether it thinks it's in focus, or just learn to trust your eyes.
I don't see the little box. No.
On the very far left-hand side.
Far left.
Far left, there should be arrows, and then there's a circle if it's in focus. Maybe you have to tap down on this button. The one that this finger's on. Just tap on it, and then it appears.
Nope.
Okay, it's there, and it's just a circle right now. So, just trust me.
Okay.
Okay. And then, you don't wear glasses or whatever, right?
No.
Let's see here. And sometimes this... Okay, so one of the problems you may encounter is if you accidentally hit this little diopter thingy, it changes it. So if you have bad eyesight, you can it'll work for you, you know, like if you're near or farsighted. So I just changed it so it is good for someone with good eyesight. Oh. Alright. And I'm switching it here to manual focus, because that's what you're doing anyways. Yeah. So, and this is on manual focus, and this is obviously only manual focus. So, and then this stuff right here controls how you autofocus, so don't worry about that.
Okay. It's actually becoming more and more simple.
Yeah. And then, okay, so what you need to learn next is how to change the aperture and shutter speed.
Yeah.
So, aperture is like how wide open it lets in, you know. So if you check here on this lens, it doesn't have the actual release. Oh, there it is. So that's a very small aperture. This is very big. So this lets in a ton more light. So if it lets in a ton more light, that means the picture goes fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually I describe it as a fire hose and a little coffee straw. A little coffee straw lets in very little amount of water, which you can correlate to light, and a fire hose lets in a ton. So to fill the bucket, you would need like minutes worth of the little coffee straw. And to fill the bucket with a fire hose, you'd need like 1,000th of a second. So that's the case here. So the lower the number on this, when you're in A mode here, let's just call it mode, because that's what our camera says, mode. What mode do you want to be in? So you want to probably usually be in A mode, or you can even set it to P, which is just kind of simplistic type stuff, but if you want to get a little bit better about photography, then go to A. And when you're thinking of A, you're just thinking, what style do you want? Do you want everything to be in focus, like it's a big scenery type thing? Yeah. Then have that number higher. Let's keep it simple. You want everything in focus, have that number higher. If you want it to be like of a person with stuff in the background kind of blurry, so that it focuses on that person, then have that number lower.
Okay.
This lens does not go low. So the lowest it goes is 3.5, and when you zoom it in, the lowest now becomes 4.5. So it's variable. On the other hand, this over here goes down to 1.4. But it is a less expensive lens, which means at 1.4 it's not as they're not going to be as in focus. So this is the one right here for aperture. Use this dial. You're down to 1.4. Okay. So that means you could take pictures in a really dark place because it's a big, huge fire hose and you need less amount of time. So, and it's saying here that you need a 40th, a 60th of a second. And so the camera is just reading reflections of light. So if it's a dark area, you're going to be in the jungle, you might want to use this lens some more because you're not going to have a lot of light. Okay. And that's why it's a big lens. It does 35 and 35 only, whereas this, it does 18 to 70 and 35 is part of it, but it's a small, light, cheaper lens, you know, $100, $400 type thing. So it's just because it's built to let in a lot of light, and that's what's really good about it. So you can use it in the jungle a little easier. Alright, so, or you can use it like inside this room right now. So mode, stick with A a bunch, and you can learn what the other ones do. I would just say stick with A. And then if it reflects off of something dark, so here's my little rule thing to think about, little mantra to repeat. If it's dark, keep it dark. If it's bright, keep it bright. And that means with the camera reads, what it really wants to do is make everything 80% gray. So if it sees white, it's going to make it darker. And if it sees black, it's going to make it brighter. So you have to tell the camera, no, 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 I want it to stay dark. So keep it dark. And that is what you do with this little button here. It's called the exposure value. And so if it's bright, go plus, keep it bright. And if it's dark, go dark, so that it will keep it dark.
Okay.
So all you really know right now is mode.
A.
And stick with A, or you can, if you get into it, go to manual mode. And then you click a button, and you're like, oh, nope, looks too bright. I'm going to go darker, you know? Okay, so, but we're trying to keep it simple. So let's just stick with A.
Okay.
But you will have to know how to use this exposure value, at least to know, like, oh crap, why is it coming out so dark? Because you are shooting something that's really bright, and the camera is trying to make it darker. And so you can kind of work with it and just go, oh, why is it so dark? Oh, let me go see what the settings are on this little button right here. And so quality, just make sure you don't screw up with that, like it doesn't change. You shouldn't have to open up the memory card. Yeah. You shouldn't have to worry about the focusing things here. And you won't be bracketing. This is how you delete a picture. So you go into play, and you're like, this picture sucks. Let's go ahead and hit the delete button once, and it says, are you sure? Hit it twice, and it's gone. I would suggest just doing that when you have a full charged battery, and don't do that when you are on the trail.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that will eat up a lot of batteries. So, but you can review here. Let's take a couple pictures. So you're dark, so let's keep it
keep it dark.
Keep it dark here. Okay, so you can review, and if you go up, it will give you some settings. Who cares? You won't need to know too much about that unless you start getting way into photography and you're like, what shutter speed was that? And how can I change it? See, even in this room, at 1.4, it's a 15th of a second, okay? Because you were in the shadows. And so, I mean, you're going to be in the jungle. So you're actually going to want to learn another feature, which is ISO, which I just call sensitivity to light. 200 is the default for this camera. So every time you do double the number, it means it's double the light sensitivity. So 400 would be twice as sensitive.
Okay.
So that means if I took that exact same picture, it's going to take it at a 30th of a second because it needs half the amount of light. So 15th of a second to 30th. So this is where you're coming back to all your grade school fractions and stuff like that. So actually, let's take it there, and I'm looking here, and it's 30th of a second is what it did. And it should be a similar picture, but yet it's going to be grainier, okay?
Gotcha.
And that's just something that happens with ISO. Otherwise, we'd just always take pictures at really high ISOs. Mm-hmm. But lower the ISO, the less grainy.
Okay.
Higher the ISO, more grainy. But there may be situations where you just... you're going to want to... This is a 35 millimeter. I'd say stick with trying to take a picture above 60th of a second. And you're outside during the day, it's probably going to be like... If it's sunny outside, it's going to be 8,000th of a second, you know?
Yeah.
But if it's dark, you're going to struggle to get there, and you're going to have to move the ISO.
Okay. And
keep it at 1.4. And with this lens, so learning the lens is important. So try to stick at not 1.4. Even when you're doing people pictures, and you want the black on blurry, this lens doesn't work perfectly at 1.4. Its best is like 2.8 is where you should start.
Okay.
So if you can, shoot at 2.8. Obviously, you're going to be in some dark situations where 2.8 is just going to make it too dark. So it's like a half a second, and I can't keep a camera still for a half a second without moving. And I actually did all right, but I've had years of practice. So it's blurry. Okay, and then you're going to want to learn how to zoom in. And so this camera had a pretty bad setup for zooming in. You have to hit this button, and then I can't even remember how to do it. And then, oh, and then you hit this button. Pretty crappy, huh?